It's time for another episode of Boy Green Daily, talking all things New York Jets. But before we get there, a quick shout out, baby. It's hard to see on the camera, but we're wearing the Aaron Rodgers shirt today. Look at this. Yeah, baby. Look at that. We're wearing the Aaron Rodgers shirt today. Of course, that is from our friends over at itsgoodbrand.com. The Zack Wilson shirt people are back. And you guys can check that out in the description. So Aaron Rodgers said, hey, folks, he reiterated that he wants to come back this season. We'll talk a little bit about that, plus the juiciest Jets-Broncos storylines. All that coming up on Boy Green Daily. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans. Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show. Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
What's poppin', everybody? My name is Paul Weston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. And without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, half of the legendary ESPN 98.7 backfield, Ty Butler, Brandon Jacobs. I think we got the better half. Let's bring him in, Ty gosh darn Butler, baby. What's up, Ty? Good morning.
What's going on, man? What's going on? How you doing today, bro?
I like that. The Beatles shirt, very nice. A classic. You look good, my man. You look good.
Listen, I need one of those Aaron Rodgers shirts, man. Can we get a hookup?
I'll hook you up. My people, your people. You look under the Christmas tree. You know what's going to be under there, baby. Yes.
I was just gonna say Christmas right around the corner, man.
That's right. So consider it done. Boom, boom. It's that's what I can do. That's the power that I bring to the table. You say it, boom. My people already on the back. They're typing away. They're sending the shipping address and slapping things around. Oh, it's going to be there. It'll be there ASAP. So
hopefully hopefully it's here by Sunday, because I would love to support that. What's the biggest game they've played?
Yeah.
I guess since Sunday night, but. A game you actually go into it feeling like you have a legitimate chance to win, and your season once again being on the line. So, going into an atmosphere like that, I need that shirt. So hopefully we can get it back by Sunday. Hopefully we can get it here by Sunday.
Now my question is, what is going to get there first? My shirt or Aaron Rodgers returning to the football field? Because Aaron Rodgers, with his new surgery and new inventions and all this jazz, he reiterated, he said it on the broadcast, apparently to Melissa Stark. And then Melissa Stark says it, but sometimes people say, you can't take what someone said about someone else about Aaron Rodgers. You need to hear it from the horse's mouth. And he reiterated it yesterday on the Pat McAfee show that, oh, yeah, that's my goal. So the job now is to keep the Jets in the conversation where it will matter for Aaron Rodgers, because if he has this miraculous comeback and the Jets are 1-8 or God knows whatever it would be, it won't matter. So they have to be in the conversation, which leads us to this Broncos game that you just mentioned. And there are some juicy storylines here. But I think before we even get to that, the Broncos friggin' stink. They were down 28-7 against the friggin' Chicago Bears, who couldn't do diddly. And then all of a sudden they had to make this miraculous comeback to come back and win. I don't know, man. This Broncos team sucks. And I don't even just want a victory, because you got to do this for Aaron and the Nathaniel Hackett situation. I want them to give the Broncos the business, and I think there's an opportunity here for some emphatic juice.
Yeah, Sean Payton's got a lot of egg on his face. All the comments he made, which violated I'm not even saying this as someone who is a Jet fan.
Mm-hmm.
He violated that coach's code of calling the guy out. He's the successor, and he's a Hall of Fame coach, so you would expect him to exude a different level of decorum. So for him to come in there, and I get he's trying his best to elevate Russell Wilson, who appeared to be fragile, because of everything that he had been through. To go at Nate Hackett like that, And now for you to look even worse, last I checked, Nate Hackett's Broncos never gave up 70 points last year. And then they were down 28-7. The only reason why they won that game was because the Bears forfeited it. Justin Fields had the strip sack fumble, and then Matt Eberflus with the game tied late decided instead of kicking the field goal they were going to go for it on fourth down.
What an
And
idiot.
they're a disaster. The DC Allen Williams, he resigns, and then he's got his house raided, and the facility was raided. They got Soldier Field got robbed, and this is a Justin Fields calling out his coaches. It's a mess.
Yeah.
And right now, they're slated to have the first and second overall pick in next year's draft, so they're not trying to win games. But this Broncos team, man, it's not just this year. Like, it's an extension of last year. They've been a mess. Their defense is in shambles. Russell Wilson, he looks awful. So this is a very winnable game for the Jets, assuming, as you alluded to in your poll question, we can have that Zack Wilson encore. Because if he plays the way that he did last week, I think they can win every game that they play this season. Not that they will win every game they play this season, but they'll be in position because of their defense, because of their special teams, if he plays like that.
Well, I will ask you this. This was our poll yesterday, but I really want your opinion on this. And then we'll also bring up the poll from today. Who is the real Zack Wilson? That Zack Wilson on Sunday Night Football is something I've never seen before. That's the best Zack Wilson I've ever seen. And for me, I believe to sway you potentially. I think it's real because the things he was doing is sustainable. He wasn't doing this crazy roll out the pocket, wild things that are unsustainable. Like, he was in the pocket just running the offense, and he just looked confident. It looked like the coaches just said, the quote that we've all been throwing around, let it rip, kid, just go. Like, it's the freaking Super Bowl champs. You're down 17-0. What it ended up being, you got to freaking go, man. It seems like he just something snapped and all of a sudden he started going crazy. So I think it's real. And if it is, the Jets are in great position here to do all kinds of things. Do you believe it's real in the bottom of your heart heading into this Broncos game?
I think it can be real, but to answer the first question you asked, is this the real Zack Wilson? It's difficult to staring at the sample size that was him being bad for so long versus him playing good for one game, say, oh, this is the real Zack Wilson. Now, can it be? Of course, because as you mentioned, it wasn't you remember in Hard Knocks, the throw that Rodgers made, where Jeff Ulbricht's in the film room with his defense, and he's like, "Yo, only one guy
across
can make
the
that
field in the red zone." Oh my God!
So it's not like we saw that, right? We didn't see wow, he's making throws that only Mahomes or only Rodgers.
Right.
It was It was the simplicity of just routes hitting guys with the time. He had the back shoulder. He had the back shoulder throw to who was it? Uzoma, right?
Well, the two were Conklin in the middle of the field, shoulder throw, and then Ruckert on the right hash was another back shoulder throw. Yeah.
Then he had the deep throw to Lazard.
Correct.
So these aren't that complex to make you feel it's impossible for him to duplicate it. It's really just, as you mentioned, confidence. It's running the offense with pace, getting to where he's in positions of comfortability, and not turning the ball over. That's the biggest thing. Because as much as we were as excited as we were watching that game last Sunday night, even the most optimistic Jet fan was waiting for that big turnover. Here's a drive where the big turnover happened, and it happened. Now that's not the Zack Wilson of the past. It's just a freaky situation where he takes his eye off the ball and it kind of killed him. But listen, man, another thing too, Breece Hall, what's not getting talked about? Breece Hall's got to score in that touchdown.
That should have been a touchdown, man. How is that not a touchdown? Breece break to the left side of the field. Once he broke free, and it's Breece, one chief, Tyler Conklin. I don't give a slap Conklin on the ass, jump over here, or Breece just goes, whoop, see ya, and cuts off to the left side of the field and just goes to the house to get caught by one guy. That should have been a touchdown. And guess what? People forget about this. The game was tied 20-all when he had that run. The Jets could have taken the lead for the first time in the game.
And for the first time all season. How about this? They've not run a single snap all year with a lead. Because the only game they won was
the last one was a walk-off. Yeah, that's funny. Wow.
So I actually thought Brees could have cut to the outside on the right up the sideline and gotten in there.
Sure.
On Monday Night Football, Witherspoon on the pick six did the same
Yeah.
thing where he's directing the traffic. Now, it's a little bit of a different situation, but man, like that was tough. He should have
Yeah.
scored on that. And then unfortunately they get the illegal man downfield. It was a Connor McGovern
Dumb. What are you doing,
on the
McGovern? It just
screen.
ruins the drive for no
Yeah.
reason. There was no one there. He just walked a few steps too far. Totally kills it for being an idiot. Ah,
Yeah, man. That's a huge shift in the game that I didn't feel like got a lot of conversation the next day just because, obviously we were so focused on Zach. But that drive right there was such a kill. And then the penalties were just a disaster, man.
oh
And I
yeah.
don't love, by the way, the NFL on its Twitter with the whole,
Taylor
the
Swift
Chiefs,
stuff.
the 2-0, the Chiefs are 2-0 as Swifties.
After
It's not a great
questionable
look.
calls, what a bad look. What the
Yeah, it's not
hell are
a,
they doing?
it's not a great look for the integrity of the game, Roger.
Definitely not, Roger. I would say not. Let's throw it up on the big screen. This is, and I would also say one real quick thing on Zack Wilson. The other thing I loved to do some baseball in here, the variety in the pitches. If you look at both touchdown passes, the Allen Lazard one had to be a laser beam, a tightrope, just right to Lazard, right before a defender, and get that in. And then the Uzama was completely the opposite. Nice little soft touch. I referenced it earlier this week as that, that mid-range J, a little 16, 18 foot, all net, right there to Uzama. Beautiful. It's a
And
good
it was
variety in the pitches
Rogers-esque.
from Zach.
It was
Yeah.
Rogers-esque on the little play fake.
Oh,
It was
that
a
was
play
beautiful.
action that was
Sold
like
it hard.
he
Yeah.
executed it perfectly with the patience and selling it, and it was Rogers-esque. So you
Yeah.
saw his immediate impact, and maybe just maybe they're getting to a place with their offense because Rogers talked about how he helped install the plays, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's his offense that
Of
he's
course.
running.
Yeah.
So now you got to get to a point where Zach's able to have some type of an influence. Here's what I feel most comfortable doing with the personnel that we have. And you saw them force feeding Garrett Wilson, right? Like that's another thing. He missed him on the touchdown, which
Ah,
that's a pass you got to make. Conklin's got the touchdown.
100%.
Conklin
Conklin had
well,
that one. Like sure, could Zach have been a little bit better on that? Yes, but Conklin, it was literally like in his hands, and then he dropped it. Like, dude, make a hard play for your quarterback.
yeah, those are plays that have to be made, man.
Yeah.
Defensively, I thought they played well after 17-0, but you can't go down 17-0. There were some missed tackles there.
A mostly drop
Mo-
pick six again. Mostly. What
Mostly,
the
I mean,
hell?
it's every single week with him, man. It's every
Jesus.
single week. We saw it against Buffalo. We saw it against New England, and now we saw it
Brutal.
this past week. Like you have to make that catch, bro. That's 6 to the house, man.
Yeah, and that changes the game once again. So
If you're gonna fashion yourself as the 85 Bears defense, excuse me, like these are plays that have to be made. Now I thought people were a little too overly critical of the Jets defense. Oh, they're overrated. I don't think they're overrated. I just think that once you start talking the way that they did before the season, DJ Reed, even Robert Saleh, when he's like, "Oh, we're one of 6 or 7 teams that that can win a Super Bowl." Once you allow that type of commentary coming from your locker room, it just leaves you prone and susceptible to
you got a target on your
criticism.
back.
Yeah. So I just didn't like that. But those are plays that have to be made. CJ, there's a reason. Defensive backs always say like, there's a reason why we never played receiver, right? We can't catch.
Yeah. The stereotype continues. I see this one in here as well. Just the Michael Carter drop at the end of the first half. Zack Wilson, beautiful. And this is great from Zach. So he rolls out. He's like, I'm not going to throw a dumb pass. Let me evaluate. Holy shit, Michael Carter. Whoop. And that's unfortunately been a problem with Carter throughout his career. Random stone hand drops. He actually had it in Denver last year when he ran that V route back to the center of the field, which could have been a touchdown. He dropped that as well. So brutal drop there, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be better next time.
Had a clear first down. That was a great elusivity by Zach.
That would have been points. That's the end of the first half.
Yeah, man. And you get a chance to to double up the way New England made popular. So that's a huge. Other than Greg Zuerlein, you got to make that kick, man. I know he's
too.
He was injured week 2, so maybe he's still dealing with that. But you got to make that kick, bro.
And I just want to say, a lot of people are going all over the place on this. I am totally cool with Robert Saleh kicking the field goal with 30 seconds left, 4th and 1, and not going for it. Because Saleh was right after the game. I said it in the moment. I'm like, me personally, I might have gone for it, but I have no problem with kicking the field goal because first off, points are points. You were down 8, so you have to do some combination anyway to kind of get funky if you don't get the touchdown and 2-point conversion, so you can kind of chop it down. And plus, if you make the conversion, you're just probably getting it a little bit closer for a field goal anyway. So if you're taking a field goal and Greg Zuerlein hits 50-yarders all the time, then take it. It missed. It sucked. But I'm not going 20/20 hindsight on that saying, Saleh, what an idiot. And I saw these people calling him cowards on social media. I'm like, come on, people. Shut up. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that harsh. I wanted him to go for it just because I did feel like he still had an opportunity to score. But I mean, even listening to him post game, he immediately said, we were just gonna get it closer to kick." Now it just so happens that if you had you been a little bit closer, you would have made the kick. But yeah, I was fine with it. Going into the half down 5, and then you get the ball back to start the second half. I didn't really feel too strongly about that.
All right, let's finish off of this. We put this up on social media. You guys can check that out right now. It is our poll of the day. What are the juiciest storyline, or what is the juiciest storyline in this Jets-Broncos game? Now, we listed a couple of here. The Zack Wilson encore, we gave that a lot of love already. One that's super underrated, got like no votes, but I want to bring this up. Breece Hall and Elijah Vera-Tucker. Last year, week 7 in Denver, the month of October, so many parallels to now. We lost Breece Hall and ABT essentially in back-to-back plays for the entire season. Breece Hall just had a 70-yarder to the house, and ABT to that point had played 4 of the 5 positions on the offensive line. For them, and I get why it's not getting the votes, but that's I don't know if it's a ghosting in their head or Breece ahead of this game is going to have a little extra juice for what happened. That's a super underrated storyline heading into this one, I think.
Yeah, and personally for Breece, it cost him potentially winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year because as great as Garrett was last year, he was ahead of him in that race, and we saw losing those two guys completely fracture the Jets offense. Now, look, I don't want to take the heat off of Zach. He was awful, and he got benched twice, but when you lose your best offensive lineman and your best weapon, not named Garrett Wilson, on offense, you can see why it could have that type of an impact that it did. So you just, hope. Breece Hall's still not 100%, man. He scores last year on that play against Kansas City.
Right, yeah.
So he's still working his way back into it. And another reason why I know he's not 100%, Dalvin Cook's been awful. And, every time I look at my screen and he's standing in the backfield, I'm like, guys, what are you doing? But Breece is, I guess, still on a bit of a pitch count. They can't use him as much as they would like to. But we'll see that, start to happen, in the second half of the season.
Hopefully, yeah. Robert Saleh seemed to indicate on a one-on-one interview with the team, their team media, probably a day before the game. He seemed to indicate that Breece Hall was no longer on a pitch count, and then
that can't be the case.
Which the numbers say it because he had 6 carries, Dalvin had 5. If he's not on a pitch count, what are we doing here? So, no, I think you're right. Maybe it's just hoopla. Maybe he's just talking in the media, but interesting nonetheless. Let's give this one as well. We can almost combine these, but I think they are their own votes, and that's how they're being voted on. There's Nathaniel Hackett revenge, if you want to call it that, although he deserved the ending based on anything that he did. And then the Sean Payton comments, which are in criticism of Nathaniel Hackett. So there's all of that. I know Robert Saleh said on your very radio station, Mr. Tyger Butler to the Michael K. Show, that he does not believe in bulletin board material. He thinks that's all made up nonsense and things motivating you from outside the locker room that put you in a bad spot. That was in the premise of Joe Namath's comments, but also looking ahead, kind of wink, wink. This is the perfect rallying cry for your team to go give them some extra business on top of winning a game. So both of those, of course, are the perhaps most obvious storylines heading into this game.
He also last year says he keeps receipts. So, this would be
and also,
yeah. So I would say this. I don't know that I don't think he's lying. I think that you can two things can be true. You can keep receipts, understand what's been said about you, and recognize it. Okay, here's what the people are saying about me, but also not use it as a rallying cry, right? This is the NFL. You shouldn't need Sean Payton saying bad things about you to motivate you to try to save your season, or your teetering on the season being lost because you're 1-3, you fall to 1-4 with Philly coming up. There's no chance you're going to be able to salvage it. So I think that, naturally you're going to go into this game if you're Hackett like, yo, we want to score some points. We want to embarrass them. But it's not a quote unquote rallying cry. The rallying cry is Rodgers could come back if we keep this season, relevant long enough. So let's go out there and win a damn football game.
And it could simply be, boys, we're 1-3. The rally cry is we need to win a beeping game. That's what we got to freaking do, people. We got to win a gosh darn football game, which leads us into the very end of this program, which is a prediction. Jets-Broncos. I feel like, I know we said this for New England, but this feels like almost a loser goes home match. It's an AFC conference matchup for both teams. They're both 1-3. A loss drops them to 1-4, and then in the Jets case, I don't have the Broncos schedule in front of me, but for the Jets case, you're 1-4, and then you play the Eagles before the bye. That looks daunting. Now, 2-3 going into the Eagles game, and the Eagles haven't looked like the Eagles from last year. Let's just kind of see what happens in a gravy game. But, man, this could change the perception entirely of their season based on results of this game.
Yeah, and I still think Philadelphia is the best team in the NFC. They've won 20 of their last 24 games, and people are going crazy because they haven't looked impressive enough. I will say about that team right now, which is why that team right now is flirting with trying to lose a game. They kind of need that snap back to reality mode.
They are. They're begging the opponent, please beat us.
The Patriot game, they should have lost the Patriot game.
The Commanders game. They should have lost that last week.
Ron Rivera should have gone for 2 at the end of regulation.
What a puss! Come on, man, sack up.
They are trying hard to lose.
You tired? Come
on. Who does Philly have on the slate this week? You know?
I do know, but let me.
It's escaping me. So Philly's got a game this week, and I am rooting so hard for them to win that game.
Oh yes,
because then it's on the
Rams. The Rams. Come on.
Yeah, the Rams have been playing pretty well, but I think that's a team they should beat. So Jets win this game. Now you play Philly, an organization or a franchise you've never beaten before.
Strange,
but that is a pass defense that you can throw against. Their offense obviously can put up big numbers, but you have a great defense. And if they go into that game undefeated, again, I think they're flirting with losses all year.
They are.
So you got to win this game, take care of business here. And then who knows what happens at home next week against the defending NFC champions.
What a beautiful way to put that.
Position. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just on that tightrope of, whoa, we're going to lose. We're falling into the lava. And we're like, oh, just kidding. We're okay. And you're like, oh.
Exactly.
100%. So keep winding your ass on that tightrope, and then the Jets are going to come up and cut the line. Suckers. And then beat them for the first time and just end this weird streak. They obviously don't play very often, NFC, AFC East, but let's just end it. I'm just in the mood of ending these droughts forever. Patriots is on my bucket list. Hopefully one day before I'm dead, and then this Eagles one. Let's just boop, boop. Let's just kind of knock this one off. Hit 2 birds with 1 stone. If you catch my drift.
Week 18, man. Judon might be done for the season.
Oh, and Gonzalez, he hurt himself too. He was a talented rookie. Yeah, why didn't this, I don't wish injuries on anybody, but this couldn't have happened before the Jets-Patriots game. What the hell? But, hey, it's neither here nor there, I suppose. But, brutal losses for the Patriots, and then they implode in Dallas. I enjoyed the implosion part, not the injury part, but I enjoyed the implosion part versus that. And by the way, same thing, speaking of why didn't this happen our week, Mac Jones, hey, let me throw across the field. I got away with it once. Oh, it's a pick 6. I'm just lollygagging, strip sack, ball pops up, Cowboys. Oh, thank you very much.
Well, you see the difference is that the Cowboys were able to get some pressure on them, which the Jets were not able to do. And he was untouched against the Jets. The Jets who this past week came into the game with only 6 sacks, which is crazy.
Lame. They're 29th in the league in sacks right now. Yeah, not good. 7 sacks. That's it. Well, Ty, you're one of the best in the freaking business, baby. Thanks for popping up on the program. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to this juicy game coming up on Sunday. Should be a lot of fun, man.
Should be fun, man.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Boy Green Daily this morning. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.